Mango season is over, but in addition to grafting mangoes, I am still dealing with some of the mangoes from 2021. Basically, what I did was when I ate a mango, of course I saved the seed, but usually I was tired or just didn't have the time to plant the seed, so I kept putting those seeds in the kitchen sink. It's a pretty good place, especially for the short term, to put mango seeds when you intend to sprout them out. Well, of course, a little bit of time passed, and it got to be a lot of time for some of the seeds. But I have been opening up seeds this morning and finding some interesting things. Basically, the late varieties that I've been dealing with as the little seeds, and this is a sign of sheer desperation when I get these little seeds, because they take a lot longer to get to be a size that you can actually graft onto the plant. There's just not that much food in nuts. But this one, this is an interesting one. This, I believe, was Palmer, and it was stuck in its shell for too long. Let me see if I can find. I think it's like this kind of a situation, and I felt the kernel down here, the actual seed, and fortunately I was very careful, just cut off the top, and this part was lurking out. It was trying to get out, but not too successfully. The shoot that would become the tree, the top part of the tree, went up and then around the top and started going down again. So I've, tried to gently bend it, but I don't know. This is almost a complete circle. So that's what Palmer did. This is a Beverly seed that I haven't quite opened yet. And that's very typical of Beverly. It will send a root out. A lot of times when the fruit is still not quite ready to eat even, the seeds just get a little eager. So that was Beverly. So Beverly and Palmer and Neelam, those were the three varieties I think that I was dealing with. But I wanted to show you something that is somewhat interesting to me. This is a seed that I obviously had in the kitchen sink for far too long. It is pretty mungy and fungy. So I don't know what the inside of this one is going to be like, but let's just open it up. I find the safest way to open them at this stage when these seeds are actually growing roots and even putting out the like the stem for the top of the plant, is to cut it right where the stem used to be. Usually the root and any other growth is going to happen along the seam, the outside. So I'll just try and open that up right like this. Okay, so this is somewhat expected. It's got, it looks like some mold going on here. The root is possibly alive, but right on the top here, it's very important to not damage that. Sometimes you can damage that part when you open the seed, and then you can grow a root, but not the top of the plant. It looks like that might have gotten damaged by the rot. So I'm not real hopeful about that one. So here we are. This one, that real important area of the seed here has gotten a lot of damage. So that one, and look at the bottom. The rot has definitely already happened there. So these two seeds do not show any promise, or very little promise. I guess it'd be an outside miracle if they sprouted. But with these other seeds, it's looking pretty good. One thing that sometimes happens when the seed is started growing within its husk is, look at this. The root has gone down and all the way up to the top again. So obviously you don't want the root to be like on the soil surface. So what I usually do is just try to gently rub the roots. They sort of attach to the membrane that is on top of the, see, look at this, is just a membrane there, or is skin maybe of the seed. It's not important except for it when it's in the seed. So anyway, that I guess is a happy place for the roots to sort of attach. So definitely make sure that you don't have roots going up to the top of the soil. In this situation, I will plant the seed vertically because the root is already going down. This is pretty much of a main root here, so I'll try and, yeah. So anyway, so most of the root will be going down to at least here and then going horizontally, so that will work out. Here's another fairly interesting thing. It looks like the root is emerging, and it's red on the top. It usually is the root, but this whole top here looks damaged. So even though we have this healthy seed, it might not sprout. It would have been a lot better if I had gotten these seeds out a week or two ago and planted them, but that just wasn't part of what I could do at that point. But there are a lot still that look like they're good, and so when in doubt, I'm going to plant them and hope for the best. And I did have one more seed to open up, and this is a Beverly. It doesn't happen to have a root growing out of it, so hopefully everything is fine inside. I tend to just cut off the very top of where the stem was. You can sort of see that a little difference on that. The action part of the seed itself is on the outside. Like if you think of this as a clamshell, this is the part that opens up. And so this is the part that you do not want to damage. In fact, this seed got damaged by rot, and it is quite likely that that will not germinate because that's where the foliar growth would have emerged. The root itself is actually not looking great either. This was a victim of mold or mildew and its odors. But anyway, this one does not have any mold on it. It just looks fairly fresh. And so I'll cut this very top off just so that I don't interfere with this. Is the very important action side of the seed. So there I've got, you can see just a tiny opening, and that is enough just to sort of get just the tip of my pruners in and open up this seed. So be very careful whenever you are opening a seed not to hit that action side of the kernel. So there's the seed, and so it hasn't started growing a root. The bottom side looks black, but that I think is just this skin that's on top of the seed. So you can probably just peel that back be very careful not to scratch. Yeah, so that looks nice and healthy underneath. It's just superficial. Looks like rot, but it's just brown, but it's not going anywhere. So anyway, that's this morning's project. The next thing I'm going to do with all of these seeds, besides cross my fingers, is I'm going to put them into some wood shavings and see how they sprout. So time to plant. Okay, so I'm going to put this as a marker because I'll put some other kinds of seeds in here also. But we've planted the mango seeds, the last mango seeds of 2021, and hopefully we'll have some rootstock probably in the spring to graft onto.